The glass walls of Caldwell Tech's 42nd floor office hum with tension. Papers scatter across the polished floor as Maya Johnson, a 38-year-old black data analyst, scrambles to her knees, her jaw clenched so tight it aches. "You're in my way, you incompetent nobody!" Ethan Caldwell, the 32-year-old billionaire CEO, looms over her, his tailored vest straining against his heaving chest. His voice slices through the open-plan office, where a handful of late-night staff freeze, eyes darting. Maya's breath hitches, her fingers gripping crumpled reports meant for tomorrow's $700 million deal with Pinnacle Financial. I was bringing the AI analytics, sir," she stammers, her voice steady despite the fire in her gut. Ethan cuts her off, his gray eyes flashing with contempt. "Analytics? You think you're part of this deal? You're just a glorified typist." His words land like a slap, dripping with disdain for her race, her role, her existence in his gleaming empire. Maya's hands tremble as she clutches the papers, her heart pounding against her ribs. She starts to rise, but Ethan's polished shoe nudges her shoulder. Hard. "Stay down where you belong," he snaps, shoving her back to the floor. The thud of her body against the tile echoes, a brutal sound that silences the office. Gasps ripple from the onlookers. Two junior analysts and a security guard who avert their gazes, too scared to intervene. Maya's knees burn, her palms stinging from the fall, but her eyes lock onto Ethan's, unyielding. "You don't know who I am," she says, her voice low, a blade wrapped in velvet. Ethan laughs, a cruel bark. "I know exactly who you are. Nobody." He steps over her sprawled papers, his shadow swallowing her frame, and storms toward his corner office, slamming the door. The glass rattles. Maya's chest heaves, her teeth grinding as she fights the tears threatening to spill. She won't give him the satisfaction. Her fingers curl around the scattered reports, each page a testament to her sleepless nights, crafting the AI algorithm that's about to make Ethan's company untouchable. She's invisible to him, a black woman in a low-level role, dismissed as a cog in his machine. But those algorithms, they're her blood, her brain, her defiance. She stands, smoothing her modest blazer, her chin high despite the sting of humiliation. The onlookers whisper, their pity cutting deeper than Ethan's shove. Maya's pulse races, not from shame, but from a fire igniting within, a resolve to make him choke on his arrogance. She gathers the last of her papers, her movements deliberate, each motion a silent vow. Ethan thinks he's won, that he's crushed her. He's wrong. Tomorrow in that boardroom, she'll show him what a nobody can do. Her eyes flick to the elevator, its polished doors reflecting her determined glare. She strides toward it, leaving the whispers behind, her heart hammering with purpose. In her bag, a single page of her report slips loose, unnoticed, fluttering to the floor. A cryptic note with her initials, MJ, scrawled in the margin. It lies there, a ticking bomb Ethan will trip over soon enough. Maya Johnson's knees throb as she kneels on the cold tile, her fingers clawing at the scattered reports. Each page a piece of her soul. The whispers of her co-workers, junior analysts too spineless to speak up, sting like needles, but she bites down hard, her jaw locked, refusing to let a single tear fall. Ethan Caldwell's cruel laughter still echoes in her ears. His words, nobody, cutting deeper than the shove that sent her sprawling. Her heart slams against her ribs, not with shame, but with a fury that burns white hot. She's not nobody. She's the one who coded the AI algorithm that's about to make his company $700 million. She's the one who stayed up nights, balancing motherhood and deadlines to ensure Pinnacle Financial signs that contract tomorrow. And she's the one who'll make him eat his arrogance. Maya rises, her movements slow, deliberate, like a warrior arming for battle. Her modest blazer, creased from the fall, feels like armor as she straightens it. The onlookers' pitying stares bore into her, but she met their eyes unflinching, her chin high. "Keep watching," she mutters under her breath, her voice a low growl, sharp enough to slice through their cowardice. She clutches the reports to her chest, her knuckles whitening, and strides toward the elevator. The security guard, a middle-aged man with a guilty frown, steps forward. "You okay, Ms. Johnson?" he asks, voice barely above a whisper. Maya's lips tighten into a thin line. I'm more than okay, she snaps, her words ablade. I'm unstoppable. The elevator doors slide open and she steps inside, her reflection in the polished steel showing a woman unbroken, her dark eyes blazing with purpose. As the doors close, sealing her off from the office's suffocating silence, Maya's mind races. She sees her daughter, Aisha, waiting at their Southside apartment, her bright smile a reminder of why Maya fights. She sees the algorithm she built, lines of code that outsmarted every engineer in this building. And she sees Ethan's smug face, oblivious to the storm coming his way. You'll see, she whispers to the empty elevator, her voice steady, lethal. Tomorrow you'll know exactly who I am. The ride down feels endless, each floor a tick of the clock counting down to her reckoning. Maya's fingers trace the edges of her reports, her lifeline to tomorrow's boardroom. She's not just a data analyst, she's the architect of Caldwell Tech's future, and Ethan's about to learn that lesson the hard way. Her pulse steadies, her resolve hardening like steel. She steps out into the Chicago night, the city's pulse matching her own, relentless, unyielding. Back in the office, the fallen note with her initials, MJ, lies unnoticed near Ethan's door, a silent promise of the truth that will unravel his world. Maya's words, you'll see, hang in the air, a prophecy etched in fire, ready to ignite. Ethan Caldwell slams his office door, the glass shuddering under the force, his pulse hammering like a war drum. The echo of Maya Johnson's words, you'll see, claws at the edges of his mind, but he shoves them down, his fists clenched tight. He's the billionaire CEO of Caldwell Tech, untouchable, unstoppable, on the verge of a $700 million deal with Pinnacle Financial. A nobody like Maya, a low-level black analyst, doesn't get to rattle him, yet her defiant glare, those unyielding eyes burn into his skull. He paces, his polished shoes clicking on the hardwood, trying to shake the unease slithering up his spine. She's nothing, he mutters, his voice sharp, a blade cutting through his doubt. But his hands betray him, trembling as he pours a shot of bourbon from the crystal decanter on his desk. He slumps into his leather chair, the Chicago skyline glittering beyond the glass walls, a kingdom he's built. His phone buzzes, another investor demanding updates on the deal. Ethan ignores it, his eyes catching a crumpled paper near the door, half hidden under a chair. He freezes. It's one of Maya's reports, overlooked in the chaos of her fall. He snatches it, his fingers smudging the ink. The page is dense with equations, charts, and a handwritten note in the margin. Optimized AI prediction model, MJ. His breath catches, his chest tightening like a vice. MJ, he whispers, the initials slicing through his arrogance. This isn't grunt work. It's the backbone of the AI algorithm Pinnacle Financial is banking on. His mind reels. Did he just shove the brain behind his biggest deal to the floor? Ethan's throat burns, not from the bourbon, but from a sickening twist of guilt. He replays the scene, Maya's body hitting the tile, her papers scattering, her voice steady despite his venom. You don't know who I am, she'd said, and now those words feel like a guillotine. He slams the paper down, his knuckles white, cursing himself. How did he miss this? He's built an empire on spotting talent, yet he dismissed her as a nobody, blinded by his ego and her skin. His fingers rake through his hair, tugging hard, as if pain could erase the image of her rising, unbroken from the floor. Then his computer pings, snapping him back. An email, sender blocked, titled, Watch Your Back. His jaw tightens as he opens it. Your company's secrets aren't safe. Check your inner circle. No signature, no trace. Ethan's eyes narrow, suspicion flaring. Is this about Maya or someone else? He glances at the report again. MJ, staring back like an accusation. His gut churns, a mix of regret and paranoia. He underestimated her, and now this cryptic warning hints at a bigger threat lurking in his empire. He shoves the paper into his desk, his resolve hardening. Tomorrow's boardroom will be more than a deal. It'll be a reckoning, and he's not sure he's ready for what Maya's bringing. You think you can humiliate me and walk away? Ethan Caldwell's voice cracks like a whip, his phone pressed so hard against his ear it leaves a mark. He's in his corner office, the crumpled report with MJ scrawled in the margin, burning a hole in his desk. The cryptic email, "Watch your back," pulses in his mind, but it's Maya Johnson's defiant glare that haunts him most. His chest tightens, a vice of guilt squeezing his ribs. He's the billionaire CEO of Caldwell Tech, hours away from a $700 million deal with Pinnacle Financial, yet he's unraveling over a low-level analyst he shoved to the floor last night. "Find her," he barks at his assistant, Lisa, his fingers drumming the desk, each tap a hammer of regret. "Maya Johnson, now." Lisa's voice crackles through the speaker, hesitant. "She's not in the office, sir. Left after the incident." Ethan's jaw clenches, his teeth grinding. The incident. His shove, her fall, the papers scattering like his pride. He'd called her a nobody, dismissed her as worthless. But that report, her report, tells a different story. Those equations, those charts, they're the heart of the AI algorithm Pinnacle's betting on. He underestimated her, and now her words, "You'll see," slice through his ego like a blade. He grabs his jacket, the fabric creasing under his grip. "Get me her address. I'm going to her." Minutes later, Ethan's Bentley cuts through Chicago's South Side, the streets a stark contrast to his Gold Coast penthouse. His knuckles whiten on the steering wheel, his pulse racing as he navigates the unfamiliar terrain. He's out of place, a billionaire in a world of cracked sidewalks and corner stores. But he doesn't care. He needs to see Maya, to undo the damage, to silence the gnawing guilt that's eating him alive. He pulls up to her apartment building, a modest brick structure with flickering streetlights. His shoes crunch on gravel as he steps out, his breath catching at the sight of Maya through a ground floor window. She's sitting at a folding table, her laptop open, her daughter Aisha, a wiry 10-year-old, leaning over her shoulder. Maya's fingers fly across the keyboard, debugging code with a focus that makes Ethan's gut twist. She's not broken, not defeated. She's teaching Aisha, her voice steady, guiding the girl through a coding problem. "See, you loop it here," Maya says, her tone warm but firm, a teacher's patience wrapped in steel. Ethan's throat burns. He shoved this woman to the ground, called her nothing, yet here she is, building a future for her kid. His fist hovers over the door, ready to knock, but he freezes. What can he say? "Sorry I humiliated you." The words feel hollow, pathetic. He steps back, his heart pounding, and notices a neighbor watching him, suspicion in her eyes. "You lost, rich boy," she snaps, arms crossed. Ethan flinches, his usual confidence crumbling. "I'm here for Maya," he says, his voice rough. The neighbor's glare sharpens. "She doesn't need your kind of trouble." Ethan's fists clench, but he nods, retreating to his car. He's not welcome here, not yet. But as he drives away, Maya's focus, her strength, sears into him. He's not just wrong, he's blind. And that email, that warning about an inner circle threat, gnaws at him. Someone's playing a game, and Maya's caught in it. He grips the wheel, resolve hardening. He'll find her tomorrow, before the boardroom, and make this right, or lose everything. Maya Johnson slams her laptop shut, her knuckles white, the sting of Ethan Caldwell's shove still burning her shoulders. "You're nobody," his words echo, a venomous taunt, but her jaw clenches, teeth grinding as she shoves the memory down. She's not nobody. She's the woman who coded the AI algorithm that's about to make Caldwell Tech $700 million. She's the mother who fights for her daughter Aisha in a world that tries to break them both. In her cramped South Side apartment, the kitchen table is her war room, littered with coffee mugs and coding notes. Aisha, 10, curls up on a worn couch, her eyes bright with curiosity. "Mom, you okay?" she asks, voice small but sharp. Maya's lips tighten, a forced smile. "I'm unbreakable, baby," she says, her tone steel wrapped in love. She stands, her modest skirt creased from hours of work, and moves to the stove, stirring a pot of chili with fierce precision. The rhythm grounds her, each stir a defiance against Ethan's cruelty. Her mind races to tomorrow's boardroom, where Pinnacle Financial will hear her present the algorithm she built from scratch. She's not just a data analyst, she's the architect of their future, and Ethan's about to learn that lesson. Her fingers grip the spoon, her pulse hammering with purpose. She's been invisible too long, dismissed as a black woman in a low-level role, but her code speaks louder than his insults. "You'll see," she whispers, echoing her vow from the office, a promise carved in fire. Aisha slides off the couch, clutching a notebook. "Can I show you my code?" she asks, her voice cutting through Maya's fury. Maya kneels, her hand steadying her daughter's shoulders. "Show me," she says, her eyes softening but fierce. Aisha's scribbled lines of Python spark a pride that burns away the humiliation of Ethan's shove. Maya guides her daughter's pencil, correcting a loop with the teacher's patience. "Keep pushing, Aisha. Nobody can stop you if you don't stop yourself." The words are for both of them, a mantra forged in Southside struggle. Maya's heart swells, her resolve hardening. She's not just fighting for herself, she's fighting for Aisha, for every kid who deserves a chance. Her phone buzzes, shattering the moment. An email from Pinnacle Financial. "Lead developer requested for tomorrow's presentation." Maya's breath catches, her fingers trembling as she opens the message. They want her, not Ethan, not his polished executives. Her lips curl into a grim smile, her eyes blazing with defiance. She's ready to step into that boardroom and make them see her. See her. But as she sets the phone down, her gaze falls on a sticky note stuck to her laptop, a reminder from work. "Check backup drive for anomalies." It's routine, but something about it nags her, a whisper of unease. She shakes it off, focusing on Aisha's code. But that note, like the MJ paper Ethan found, feels like a spark waiting to ignite a bigger fire. Maya tucks Aisha into bed, her daughter's small hand gripping hers. "You're gonna crush it tomorrow, Mom," Aisha murmurs, half asleep. Maya's chest tightens, a mix of love and determination. She kisses Aisha's forehead, her resolve a steel blade. Ethan's world is about to tilt, and she's the one holding the lever. As she closes the bedroom door, her eyes linger on that sticky note, a faint alarm bell ringing in her gut. Something's off and she's not sure what, but she's ready to fight for her truth, no matter the cost. "You think a shove defines me?" Maya Johnson's voice cuts like a razor, her dark eyes locked on Ethan Caldwell across the sleek boardroom table. Her tailored blazer hugs her frame, every inch radiating defiance as she stands, hands braced on the polished wood, facing the billionaire who humiliated her last night. The room hums with tension, Pinnacle Financial's executives watching, their pens frozen mid-note. Ethan's throat bobs, his jaw clenched so tight his teeth ache. He's the CEO of Caldwell Tech, hours from sealing a $700 million deal, but Maya's presence, commanding, unyielding, makes his empire feel like sand slipping through his fingers. Her presentation on the AI algorithm, her algorithm, just floored the room, leaving Pinnacle's suits nodding in awe. Ethan's chest burns, not with pride, but with the weight of his stupidity. "I was wrong," Ethan says, his voice low, rough, like gravel underfoot. He steps forward, palms open, but Maya's glare stops him cold. "Wrong," she snaps, her words a blade. "You pushed me to the ground, called me nothing, in front of my team." Her fingers curl into fists, nails biting into her palms, the memory of the fall igniting a fire in her gut. Ethan flinches, his gray eyes flickering with shame. "I didn't know who you were," he says, but Maya cuts him off, her voice sharp. "You didn't care to know. You saw a black woman, a nobody, and that was enough." The room goes silent, Pinnacle's executives shifting uncomfortably, their eyes darting between them. Ethan's hands grip the back of a chair, knuckles whitening. He sees her report, MJ, flashing in his mind, the proof of her genius he dismissed. "I'm sorry," he says, the words raw, scraping his throat. "I was an idiot, blinded by my ego. But I see you now, Maya. You're the heart of this deal." Maya's lips tighten, her pulse hammering. She wants to believe him, but trust is a luxury she can't afford. "Words are cheap," she says, her tone icy. "You want forgiveness? Prove it. Public apology, full accountability, and a commitment to fix this toxic workplace. No excuses." Ethan nods, his face pale, but his eyes steady. Done, he says, no hesitation. Today, in front of everyone. Maya's breath catches, her resolve tested. She didn't expect him to agree so fast, but she's not done. And I lead the AI project, she says, her voice a steel blade. No more hiding my work behind your name. Ethan's eyes widen, but he nods again. You're the best for it, he admits, his voice softer now, almost reverent. The Pinnacle execs murmur approval, one scribbling a note. Maya straightens, her heart pounding with a mix of triumph and caution. She's won this round, but the war's not over. As the meeting wraps, Maya gathers her papers, her fingers brushing a small USB drive tucked among them, unnoticed until now. She frowns, slipping it into her pocket, her gut twisting with unease. It's not hers. She glances at Ethan, who's shaking hands with Pinnacle's team, oblivious. The drive feels like a live wire in her hand, a spark of something dangerous. Back at her desk, she plugs it in, her screen flickering to life with files labeled Financial Transfers, Confidential. Her eyes narrow, scanning numbers that don't add up, millions funneled to an unknown account. A name catches her eye. Victor Langston, CFO. Her pulse spikes. The sticky note from last night. Check backup drive for anomalies. Suddenly screaming in her mind. This isn't a glitch. It's a betrayal, and she's just stepped into its crosshairs. Maya yanks the drive out, her hands trembling, but her jaw set. Ethan's apology might be real, but something darker is brewing in his empire. She glances at the boardroom, where Ethan's still charming the suits, unaware of the storm she's about to unleash. Her fingers close around the drive, her resolve a blazing fire. She's not just fighting for her place anymore. She's fighting for the truth. You think you're untouchable now, don't you? Victor Langston's voice hisses like a snake, his cold eyes boring into Maya Johnson across the Caldwell Tech conference room. The 50-year-old CFO, his gray suit crisp as a blade, leans forward, his knuckles rapping the mahogany table. Maya's jaw clenches, her fingers tightening around the USB drive in her pocket, its hidden files, millions in shady transfers, burning like a live coal. Hours after her boardroom triumph, where she revealed her AI algorithm and forced Ethan Caldwell's apology, Victor's venom catches her off guard. Her pulse hammers, her teeth grinding, as she meets his gaze unyielding. I'm just doing my job, she snaps, her voice a steel edge. Unlike some people who hide behind their titles. Victor's lips curl, a sneer that drips contempt. Your job, he cuts in, his tone mocking, slicing through her words. You're a token hire who got lucky, Maya. Don't pretend you belong here. The jab lands hard, a racist barb wrapped in corporate polish, and Maya's fists ball under the table, nails digging into her palms. The room is empty, the Pinnacle financial execs gone, but Victor's words echo, a deliberate jab at her race, her role, her victory. She stands, her chair scraping, her eyes blazing. Careful, Victor, she says, her voice low, lethal. I know more than you think. His smirk falters, a flicker of unease crossing his face. But he recovers, leaning back with a predator's calm. You're out of your depth, he says, standing to tower over her, his shadow looming. He brushes past, his shoulder clipping hers, a calculated shove that reignites the sting of Ethan's attack last night. Maya's breath catches, her heart pounding, but she holds her ground, her spine rigid. Victor pauses at the door, his hand on the frame. Enjoy your moment, Ms. Johnson. It won't last. The threat hangs heavy, a guillotine ready to drop. Maya's fingers close tighter around the USB, her mind racing. Those files, transfers to Roland Analytics, a rival firm, point to Victor's betrayal. He's not just a bully, he's a traitor, and her discovery puts her square in his crosshairs. She sinks into her chair, her pulse a war drum, replaying Victor's words. He's not just threatened by her rise. He's scared. Scared of what she knows, what she could expose. Her eyes narrow, her resolve hardening like steel. She's not just fighting for her place anymore. She's fighting a snake in the heart of Caldwell Tech. Her phone buzzes, a text from Sarah, her tech team ally. Found something weird in the backup logs. Meet me ASAP. Maya's gut twists, the USB in her pocket suddenly heavier. Victor's threat, Sarah's message, the files. They're pieces of a puzzle, and she's the only one who can solve it. She stands, her movements sharp, purposeful, and heads for the door, her heart set on uncovering the truth before Victor strikes again. "You're digging your own grave, Maya." Sarah's whisper slices through the dim hum of Caldwell Tech's server room, her fingers flying across a keyboard, eyes locked on flickering code. Maya Johnson stands behind her, the USB drive clutched in her fist, its damning files, millions funneled to Roland Analytics, burning like a fuse in her pocket. Victor Langston's threat, his sneer about her being a token hire, still stings, but her jaw clenches, teeth grinding, as she shoves the pain down. She's not here to lick wounds. She's here to expose a traitor. Her pulse hammers, her eyes scanning the shadows of the server racks, every creak amplifying the danger. "Keep moving," Maya snaps, her voice low, a blade honed by fury. Victor's not stupid. He knows I'm on to him. Sarah, a wiry tech analyst with a buzz cut and a knack for hacking, nods, her fingers relentless. "Backup logs are a mess," she says, her tone sharp, urgent. "Someone's been scrubbing data, but I found a trail. Transfers to Roland, encrypted emails, all tied to Victor." Maya's heart pounds, her fingers tightening around the USB. The files she found in the boardroom, labeled "Financial Transfers Confidential," showed millions siphoned to Caldwell Tech's rival. But this is bigger. Sarah pulls up a log, her screen glowing with incriminating numbers. "Look," she says, pointing. 5 million, wired last week, signed off by Victor Langston." Maya's breath catches, her gut twisting. That's enough to tank the $700 million Pinnacle financial deal if it leaks. "We need more," Maya says, her voice steel, her eyes blazing. She leans over Sarah's shoulder, her mind racing. Victor's not just skimming cash. He's sabotaging Ethan Caldwell's empire, and she's the only one who can stop him. Her phone buzzes, Sarah's text from earlier. "Found something weird in the backup logs." Now a lifeline. She glances at the door, her pulse spiking as footsteps echo outside. "Someone's coming," she hisses, her hands shooting to the USB, ready to yank it. Sarah's fingers freeze, her eyes wide. "Hide it," she whispers, slamming the laptop shut. Maya slips the drive into her bra, her movements swift, her heart a war drum. The door creaks, and a security guard peers in, his flashlight cutting through the dark. "You two still here?" he grumbles, suspicion in his tone. Maya straightens, her chin high. "Just finishing a debug," she says, her voice calm, a lie wrapped in confidence. The guard grunts, retreating, but his glance lingers, a warning. They wait, breathless, until the footsteps fade. Sarah reopens the laptop, her fingers flying again. "Got an email," she says, her voice a hushed blade. "Victor to Roland's CEO. He's offering to leak our AI specs for a cut of their profits." Maya's fists ball, her nails biting into her palms. Victor's not just a thief, he's a snake, ready to gut Caldwell Tech for his gain. "We need to tell Ethan," Maya says, her tone fierce, but Sarah shakes her head. "Not yet. He's the CEO, but he's blind to Victor. We need hard proof." Maya nods, her resolve hardening. She's not just fighting for her job now. She's fighting for the company she helped build, for the algorithm she bled for. They dig deeper, Sarah hacking into Victor's private server, pulling up a chain of encrypted messages. One catches Maya's eye. "Meet at the Drake, midnight. Bring the drive." Her stomach lurches. Victor's meeting someone tonight, and that drive, her drive, could be the key to his plan. "We tail him," Maya says, her voice a low growl. Sarah's eyes widen, but she nods, her fingers still moving. "Risky," she says. "He's got eyes everywhere." Maya's lips curl, a grim smile. "So do I." She grabs her phone, texting Ethan. "Meet me at the Drake, midnight. Urgent." Her fingers tremble, but her eyes burn with purpose. Victor's playing a dangerous game, but Maya's not backing down. As they shut down the laptop, a faint beep echoes from the server. A hidden tracker activated. Someone's watching, and Maya's just stepped deeper into the fire. "You sold us out!" Maya Johnson's voice slices through the dim alley behind the Drake Hotel, her eyes blazing as she confronts Victor Langston, his silhouette sharp against the neon glow of Chicago's midnight streets. Her fists clench, nails biting into her palms, the USB drive in her pocket a ticking bomb. Hours after hacking Victor's server with Sarah, uncovering his plan to leak Caldwell Tech's AI specs to Roland Analytics, Maya's heart pounds like a war drum. She tailed him here, slipping into the shadows with Sarah, catching him mid-handoff with a Roland exec. The truth hits like a gut punch. Victor's not just skimming millions, he's orchestrating a takeover to gut Ethan Caldwell's empire and sell it for scraps. Her jaw grinds, fury burning through her veins. Victor spins, his cold eyes narrowing, a smirk curling his lips. "You're a pest, Maya," he hisses, stepping closer, his voice a venomous blade. "Think you're a hero? You're nothing but a glitch in my plan." He clutches a duplicate USB, identical to hers, his fingers twitching like a predator's. Maya's pulse spikes, her breath short, but she holds her ground, her chin high. "Your plan's over," she snaps, her words sharp, cutting. "You rigged the AI data to tank the Pinnacle deal, didn't you? 5 million to Roland, a sellout to bury Ethan." Victor's smirk falters, his face paling, but he laughs, a cruel bark. "Smart girl," he says, stepping closer, his shadow swallowing her. "Too smart for your good." Sarah, hidden behind a dumpster, signals Maya with a quick nod, her phone recording every word. Maya's fingers brush the USB in her pocket, her mind racing. The files she and Sarah found, encrypted emails, doctored AI logs, prove Victor's been sabotaging the $700 million deal for months, feeding errors into her algorithm to make it fail. If Pinnacle discovers the flaws, they'll pull out, and Roland will swoop in, buying Caldwell Tech for pennies. "You betrayed everyone," Maya says, her voice low, lethal, her eyes locked on Victor's. "For what? A corner office at Roland?" Victor's sneer returns, his hand darting to grab her wrist, but she jerks back, her reflexes sharp. "You'll regret this," he growls, his voice a knife's edge. Maya's heart thunders, but her resolve is steel. She texted Ethan an hour ago, urging him to meet her here, but he's not coming. Not yet. She's alone, facing a snake, but she's not backing down. "The truth's out, Victor," she says, her tone a blade. "Your emails, your transfers, your lies, they're all on that drive. You're done." Victor's eyes flash with panic, his hand tightening around his USB. He steps forward, his voice a hiss. "You have no idea what you're up against." But Maya's already moving, slipping back into the shadows, her pulse a relentless beat. Sarah's recording, now uploaded to a secure cloud, is her ace. But as she retreats, a black SUV screeches to a stop at the alley's mouth, its headlights blinding. Victor's smirk returns, chilling her blood. Someone's watching, and the game just got deadlier. "You're a dead end, Maya," Victor Langston's voice snarls like a blade through the Caldwell Tech boardroom, his cold eyes pinning Maya Johnson to her chair. The 50-year-old CFO, his gray suit sharp as a guillotine, slams his fist on the mahogany table, making the water glasses jump. Maya's heart slams against her ribs, her fingers clutching the USB drive in her pocket, its files, proof of Victor's millions funneled to Roland Analytics, burning like a grenade. Hours after confronting him in the alley behind the Drake, exposing his plan to sabotage the $700 million Pinnacle financial deal, she's now face-to-face with a cornered snake. Her jaw clenches, teeth grinding, as she meets his glare, her spine rigid. "Your lies are done, Victor," she snaps, her voice a steel whip. "We have your emails, your transfers. You're finished." Victor's sneer twists, his face a mask of rage. "You think you can take me down?" he cuts in, his words slicing hers. "A nobody analyst playing hero? You're out of your league." The boardroom, packed with Caldwell Tech's execs in Pinnacle's suits, goes deathly quiet, their eyes darting between Maya and Victor. Ethan Caldwell, the billionaire CEO, stands frozen at the table's head, his knuckles white, gripping the chair. Maya's pulse thunders, her nails biting into her palms, but she rises, her movements sharp, deliberate. "I'm not nobody," she says, her tone lethal, a blade honed by years of being dismissed. "I built the AI that's saving this company, and you tried to sell it out." Victor lunges forward, his finger jabbing an inch from her face. "Prove it," he growls, his voice a venomous hiss. "Or I'll bury you. I've got files that'll paint you as the leaker, Maya. You'll lose everything. Your job. Your kid." The threat lands like a punch, Aisha's face flashing in Maya's mind, her daughter's smile a lifeline. Her breath catches, her chest tight, but she doesn't flinch. "You're bluffing," she says, her eyes blazing, but Victor's smirk grows, chilling her blood. He pulls out his phone, tapping the screen, and a notification pings on every exec's device. "Check your inboxes," he says, his tone smug. Leaked AI specs, traced to Maya Johnson's login. Gasps ripple through the room. Pinnacle's lead exec frowning, his pen tapping furiously. Ethan's eyes snap to Maya, betrayal flickering, but she shakes her head, her voice sharp. "He's framing me," she says, her words a desperate blade. Victor laughs, a cruel bark. "You're done, Maya. Run back to Southside." Her heart pounds, fear mixing with fury, as she feels the room's trust slipping. Then Ethan steps forward, his voice low, raw. "Enough," he says, his eyes locking on Victor. "She's not the traitor. You are." But Victor's smirk doesn't waver, his hand slipping into his pocket, where Maya glimpses the outline of a second USB drive. Her gut twists. He's got a backup plan, and she's in his crosshairs. Suddenly, a security guard bursts in, his face pale. "Miss Johnson, your daughter's school just called. Someone's watching Aisha." Maya's blood runs cold, her knees buckling, but she catches herself, her resolve steel. Victor's eyes glint, a predator's triumph. "You should have stayed down," he whispers, brushing past her toward the door. Maya's hand shoots to her phone, texting Sarah. "Get Aisha, now!" Her pulse is a war drum, her fingers trembling, but her eyes burn with defiance. Victor's not just threatening her job, he's threatening her family, and that's a line he'll regret crossing. "You touch my daughter, you're dead!" Maya Johnson's voice rips through the Caldwell tech server room, her fists clenched so tight her nails draw blood. Her heart slams against her ribs, Victor Langston's threat to Aisha, a school watcher, his frame job pinning her as the leaker, fueling a fire that could burn this building down. She's crouched behind a server rack with Sarah, her tech ally, whose fingers fly across a laptop, hacking into Victor's private server. Ethan Caldwell, the Billionaire CEO, stands guard at the door, his jaw grinding, his gray eyes scanning the hall for Victor's hired muscle. The USB drive in Maya's pocket, packed with evidence of Victor's $5 million betrayal of Roland Analytics, is their only shot to clear her name and save the $700 million Pinnacle financial deal. Her pulse thunders, her breath is short, but her resolve is steel. "Got it," Sarah hisses, her buzz cut gleaming under the server's blue glow, her screen flashing with a file labeled Langston Roland Deal. Maya leans in, her eyes narrowing at the damning text. A recorded call, Victor's voice clear as a blade, promising Roland's CEO the AI specs in exchange for a $10 million cut in a board seat. "That's Snake," Maya growls, her voice low, lethal. "He rigged my algorithm to fail, framed me to take the fall." Sarah's fingers tremble, pulling up more. Bank transfers, forged logs, all tying Victor to the sabotage. Maya's chest tightens, Aisha's face flashing in her mind. Her daughter safe for now with Sarah's cousin, but not for long if Victor's goons find her. "Faster!" Ethan snaps, his voice a raw edge, his hand gripping the door handle. He's not the arrogant jerk who shoved Maya to the floor anymore. He's a man fighting to save his company and her life. "Security's circling," he says, his eyes flicking to the hallway's shadows. Maya's fingers dig into the USB, her mind racing. They need this recording to nail Victor, but the server's locked behind a final encryption. Sarah curses, her hands shaking. "It's a deadbolt code," she says. "We need Victor's key." Maya's gut twists, her eyes darting to Ethan. "His office," she says, her tone a blade. "He keeps a backup drive in his desk." They move, a silent trio cutting through the empty office, their footsteps muffled on the carpet. Maya's heart pounds, her breath ragged, as they reach Victor's corner suite. The door's locked, but Sarah pulls a hairpin, her fingers swift, popping the lock in seconds. Inside, the desk is a fortress, Drawers bolted, a keypad glowing red. Ethan smashes a paperweight into the lock, his muscles straining, the wood splintering. "Hurry," he growls, sweat beading on his brow. Maya yanks open a drawer, her hands rifling through files, finding a small black drive taped to the underside. She plugs it into Sarah's laptop, her pulse a war drum as the screen lights up with a goldmine. Victor's full confession, a video of him detailing the sabotage to Roland's CEO, gloating about burying Ethan and framing Maya. "We've got him," Maya whispers, her voice trembling with triumph, but her eyes catch a shadow outside the window. A man in a black jacket watching. Her blood runs cold, her hands shooting to Sarah's arm. "They're here," she says, her voice a hiss. Ethan spins, his fist clenching, ready to fight. Sarah yanks the drive, uploading the video to a secure cloud, her fingers a blur. "Done," she says, but the door bursts open, a burly figure lunging in, his fist swinging. Maya ducks, her reflexes sharp, shoving Sarah behind her. Ethan tackles the thug, his shoulder slamming into the man's gut, both crashing to the floor. Maya grabs a stapler, her hand steady, ready to strike. But the thug rolls free, scrambling out as alarms blare. "We're out of time," Maya says, her voice fierce, her eyes blazing. She slips the drive into her pocket, her heart set on the boardroom showdown. Victor's goons are closing in, but she's got the truth now, and it's sharper than any knife. As they sprint for the elevator, Ethan's hand brushes hers, a fleeting anchor. "We end this together," he says, his voice raw. Maya nods, her jaw set, ready to burn Victor's empire to the ground. "You're a traitor, Victor!" Maya Johnson's voice slashes through the Caldwell Tech boardroom, her eyes blazing as she slams the USB drive onto the mahogany table. The room freezes, Pinnacle Financial's executives gaping, their pens dropping like bombs. Victor Langston, the CFO, lurches forward, his face twisting into a snarl, his gray suit creased from rage. "You're lying," he spits, his voice a venomous blade. But Maya's jaw clenches, her teeth grinding, as she holds her ground. Her heart pounds like a war drum, the memory of Victor's frame job, pinning her as the leaker, threatening her daughter Aisha, fueling a fire that could burn this empire down. Ethan Caldwell stands beside her, his fist balled, his gray eyes locked on Victor. No longer the arrogant billionaire who shoved her, but a man ready to fight for truth. "You sold us to Roland Analytics," Maya says, her voice steel, each word a dagger. She plugs the USB into a laptop, projecting the damning video onto the boardroom screen. Victor's recorded voice booms, gloating to Roland's CEO. "The AI's rigged to fail. Pinnacle pulls out. We buy Caldwell Tech for pennies." Gasps erupt. Pinnacle's lead exec, a stern woman in a navy suit, slamming her notebook shut. Victor's face pales, his hands trembling, but he lunges forward, jabbing a finger at Maya. "Fabricated!" he roars, cutting her off. "She's framing me to save her skin." Maya's nails bite into her palms, her pulse spiking, but she doesn't flinch. "Your emails, your transfers, $5 million to Roland. It's all here," she says, her tone lethal, pointing to the screen's financial logs. Ethan steps forward, his voice raw, cutting through Victor's bluster. "You betrayed us," he says, his eyes burning with betrayal. "You used my company to line your pockets." The boardroom's silence is deafening, every exec's gaze pinning Victor like a trapped animal. He stumbles back, his smirk gone, his hand fumbling for his phone. But Sarah, Maya's tech ally, cuts in from the back, her buzz cut gleaming under the lights. "Cloud backup's live," she says, her voice ablade. "Your confession's already with the board in Pinnacle." Victor's knees buckle, his face ashen, as he realizes the trap's sprung. Pinnacle's exec rises, her voice icy. "Ms. Johnson leads the AI project, or we walk," she declares, her pen jabbing the air. "Caldwell Tech's deal depends on her." Maya's chest tightens, triumph surging through her veins, but her eyes stay on Victor, who's now slumped in his chair, defeated. Ethan nods, his jaw set. "Victor, you're fired. Security's waiting." Two guards burst in, their boots heavy, dragging Victor out as he mutters curses, his empire crumbling. Maya's breath steadies, her fingers loosening around the USB, her victory hard-won but undeniable. She's not the nobody he called her. She's the architect of this $700 million deal. Ethan turns to her, his hand brushing hers, a fleeting anchor. You did it, he says, his voice soft but fierce. Maya's lips curl, a grim smile. We did it, she corrects, her eyes blazing with resolve. The Pinnacle execs nod, signing the contract, sealing her triumph. But as the room empties, Maya's gaze falls on Victor's abandoned phone, its screen flashing a single notification. Roland, Plan B activated. Her pulse spikes, her fingers tightening. The fight's not over. Victor's allies are still out there, and they're not done. You're finished, Victor. Maya Johnson's voice cuts like a guillotine, her eyes blazing as she slams her fist on the Caldwell Tech boardroom table. Victor Langston, the disgraced CFO, slumps in his chair, his gray suit wrinkled, his face ashen as security guards flank him, their boots heavy on the polished floor. Maya's heart pounds, her jaw clenched. The USB drive's evidence, Victor's $5 million betrayal of Roland Analytics, still burning in her pocket. Hours after exposing his scheme to sabotage the $700 million Pinnacle financial deal, she stands tall, her victory hard won. Ethan Caldwell, the billionaire CEO, nods beside her, his fist balled, his gray eyes sharp with resolve. You're under investigation, Ethan says, his voice a steel blade. Fraud, sabotage, conspiracy. You're done. Victor's lips tremble, his sneer gone, replaced by panic. You can't prove anything, he snaps, but his voice cracks, a desperate plea. Maya steps forward, her chin high, her tone lethal. Your confession's on record, she says, pointing to the laptop where his video plays, gloating about rigging her AI algorithm. Pinnacle's lead exec, a stern woman in Navy, rises, her pen jabbing the air. The deal's secure, Ms. Johnson leads, she declares, signing the contract with a flourish. Victor's shoulders sag, his empire crumbling as guards grip his arms, dragging him out. His curses echo, but Maya's pulse steadies, triumph surging through her veins. She's no longer the nobody he framed. She's the architect of Caldwell Tech's future. Ethan turns to her, his hand hovering, hesitant. You saved us, he says, his voice raw, a far cry from the arrogant jerk who shoved her. Maya's lips tighten, her eyes unyielding. I saved myself, she corrects, her tone a blade. The boardroom clears, Pinnacle's suits filing out. But Maya's fingers linger on the USB, her mind racing. Victor's gone, but his final phone notification, Roland. Plan B activated, nags her gut. Justice is served, but the fight's not over. She glances at Ethan, his face etched with guilt and determination. They've won this round, but something darker looms, and she's ready to face it. You don't get to erase your sins with a press conference. Maya Johnson's voice cuts like a switchblade, her eyes pinning Ethan Caldwell across the Caldwell Tech boardroom. Her fists clench, nails biting into her palms, the triumph of Victor Langston's downfall still pulsing through her veins. But Roland Analytics' cryptic Plan B message, flashed on Victor's abandoned phone, keeps her on edge, her jaw grinding with unease. Ethan, the billionaire CEO who once shoved her to the floor, stands before her, his tailored vest creased, his gray eyes raw with guilt. I'm not erasing anything, he snaps, his voice a steel edge, but softer, pleading. I'm fixing what I broke, starting with you. Maya's pulse hammers, her heart torn between distrust and the faint spark of his sincerity. Ethan steps forward, his hands open, vulnerable. I'm launching the Maya Johnson Tech Fund, he says, his words deliberate, each one a hammer strike. $10 million for women of color in Southside to learn coding, to rise like you did. Maya's breath catches, her chest tightening. 10 million. Her name, her legacy. She wants to scoff, to call it a publicity stunt, but Ethan's eyes hold no trace of his old arrogance. And I'm rewriting our policies, he continues, his voice fierce. Equal pay, transparent promotions, no more toxic gatekeepers like Victor. I was blind, Maya. I let this company crush people like you. That ends now. Her lips tighten, her mind racing. She sees Aisha, her 10-year-old daughter, coding at their kitchen table, dreaming of a future where no one calls her nobody. Ethan's fund could make that real, but trust is a jagged pill. You think money fixes what you did? She says, her tone a blade, slicing through his offer. You pushed me down, Ethan. You let Victor poison this place. Ethan flinches, his knuckles whitening as he grips the table. I know, he says, his voice raw, cracking. I was a fool blinded by ego. But I see you now, Maya. You're the heart of this company, and I'll spend every day proving I'm not that man anymore. The boardroom door swings open, Sarah bursting in, her buzz cut gleaming, her eyes wide. Roland's moving, she says, her voice a hiss, shoving a tablet into Maya's hands. They're leaking doctored AI data to Pinnacle, claiming you sabotaged it. Maya's heart lurches, her fingers gripping the tablet, its screen flashing with fake logs tied to her login. Her pulse spikes, fury surging. Victor's gone, but his allies at Roland are still hunting her. Their plan B, a knife aimed at her throat. They're trying to bury me, she growls, her eyes blazing. Ethan steps closer, his hand brushing hers, a steady anchor. They won't, he says, his tone fierce. We'll fight this together. Maya nods, her resolve steel, but her mind races. She's the new AI project lead, the $700 million deal hers to deliver, but Roland's shadow looms. Ethan calls a company-wide meeting, his voice booming over the intercom. All staff, boardroom now. Minutes later, employees pack the room, their whispers sharp. Ethan steps to the podium, his jaw set. I failed you, he says, his voice raw. I built a company that rewarded snakes like Victor and ignored brilliance like Maya Johnson's. That changes today. He announces the fund, the reforms, and Maya's leadership, his eyes locking on hers, a silent vow. The room erupts in murmurs, some skeptical, others awed. Maya stands, her chin high, her heart pounding with purpose. She's not just a survivor, she's a force, and Ethan's finally on her side. But as applause fades, Sarah slips Maya a note. Roland's CEO meeting at Pinnacle tonight. They're pushing the fake data. Maya's fingers crumple the paper, her pulse a war drum. Ethan's redemption is real, but Roland's threat could unravel everything. She glances at him, his face etched with determination, and knows they're in this fight together. But the battle's far from won. You can't bury the truth, Maya Johnson's voice thunders through the Pinnacle financial boardroom, her eyes blazing as she slams a tablet onto the polished table, its screen flashing with Roland Analytics' doctored AI data. Her heart pounds like a war drum, her jaw clenched, nails biting into her palms. Hours after Ethan Caldwell's sweeping atonement, launching the Maya Johnson Tech Fund and reforming Caldwell Tech's toxic culture, Roland's Plan B threatens to frame her as a saboteur, jeopardizing the $700 million deal. Ethan stands beside her, his fists balled, his gray eyes sharp with resolve. No longer the arrogant billionaire who shoved her, but a partner ready to fight. Sarah, her tech ally, flanks her, buzz cut gleaming, fingers poised over a laptop streaming irrefutable evidence. Pinnacle's execs, led by a stern woman in navy, lean forward, their pens frozen as Maya's pulse spikes, her resolve steel. Roland's lying, Maya snaps, her voice a steel blade, cutting through the room's tension. She swipes the tablet, projecting the USB's files, Victor Langston's confession, bank transfers, and Roland's forged logs. They faked my login to tank the AI deal, she says, her tone lethal. Victor was their pawn, and they're still playing dirty. Pinnacle's lead exec, Ms. Harper, narrows her eyes, her pen jabbing the air. Prove it, she says, her voice icy. Maya nods to Sarah, who hits play on Victor's recorded video, his smug voice booming. Rig the AI, frame the analyst, Roland buys Caldwell for pennies. Gasps erupt, execs' faces paling as the truth lands like a grenade. Roland's CEO, a slick man in a pinstripe suit, lunges from his seat, his face twisting. She's bluffing, he roars, cutting Maya off, his finger jabbing her way. She's the leaker. Maya's fists clench tighter, fury surging, but she holds her ground, her chin high. Your emails beg to differ, she says, her words sharp, slicing. Sarah projects a hacked Roland email chain, detailing Plan B to discredit Maya and seize Caldwell Tech. Ethan steps forward, his voice raw, a blade of its own. You targeted my company, my people, he growls, his eyes locking on Roland's CEO. You used Victor to betray us, but Maya stopped you. The room falls silent, Pinnacle's execs nodding, their trust shifting to Maya. Ms. Harper rises, her voice firm. Caldwell Tech's deal is secure. Ms. Johnson leads the AI project. She signs the contract, her pen a final stamp. Roland's CEO slumps, his face ashen as security escorts him out, his empire crumbling. Maya's chest heaves, triumph flooding her veins, but her eyes flick to Ethan, who's watching her with something new. Respect, unshakable. You did it, he says, his voice soft but fierce, his hand brushing hers. An anchor. Maya's lips curl, a grim smile. We did it, she corrects, her tone steady, her heart swelling with hard-won pride. Later, in her new corner office, Maya stands at the window, her fingers tracing a framed photo of Aisha, her 10-year-old daughter, coding at their kitchen table. The Chicago skyline stretches before her, a testament to her climb from the south side to the top. Ethan knocks, stepping in with a folder, his vest gone, his shirt sleeves rolled up, a man stripped of pretense. The fund's live, he says, his voice raw. First scholarships go out next week, Southside kids, just like you wanted. He sets the folder down, revealing a logo. Maya Johnson Tech Fund. Maya's throat tightens, her fingers gripping the photo, pride and disbelief warring in her chest. This is real? She asks, her voice a whisper, but her eyes blaze. Real as it gets, Ethan says, his smile genuine, no trace of the jerk who called her nobody. And the company's changing. Open promotions. No more gatekeepers. You showed me what leadership means. Maya nods, her jaw set, but her heart softens, a flicker of trust growing. She's not just the AI architect anymore. She's a beacon for every kid like Aisha, every woman like her. Her phone buzzes, a text from Sarah. Roland's under SEC investigation. You killed it. Maya's smile widens, her pulse steadying, her victory complete. At a Southside community center, Maya and Ethan teach a coding class. Aisha at the front, her fingers flying over a laptop. Kids surround them, their laughter sharp, hopeful. Maya kneels beside Aisha, guiding her code, her voice warm but firm. Keep pushing, baby, she says, echoing her mantra. Ethan watches, his eyes soft, a man rebuilt by her strength. The room hums with potential, a new family born from struggle and triumph. Maya stands, her chin high, her heart full. She's not just a survivor, she's a legacy, and no one can take that away. The lesson is clear. Respect outshines power. Resilience conquers injustice. Maya's rise, Ethan's redemption, and their shared fight prove that truth and grit build empires stronger than money ever could. As Aisha's code runs perfectly, Maya's eyes meet Ethan's, a silent vow. They'll keep fighting together for a world where no one's called nobody. And there you have it, folks. Maya Johnson's journey proves that respect trumps power, and resilience can shatter any injustice. From a brutal shove to leading a $700 million deal, she showed us that true strength lies in rising above and forging a legacy that uplifts others. Ethan's redemption reminds us that change is possible when we take responsibility for our mistakes and strive to make things right. What did you think of Maya's triumph and Ethan's transformation? Have you ever faced a moment where you turned injustice into victory? Drop your thoughts and stories in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. Thank you for joining us on this rocket-fueled ride. Smash that subscribe button, and we'll catch you in the next story. Stay bold, stay true,